UK. The only place you'll see a metal syringe in the UK is in a museum. Instead, in the UK, we call it ear irrigation. So it's a similar device. In fact, it was a modified, very first ear irrigator was a modified dental hygiene water pump, where when you visit the dentist and they flush out any debris that you may have using a controllable flow of water. So you have a little tank of water, a little nozzle that goes into your ear, and the dentist or the dental hygienist would originally flush the water in using a foot pump. So if you want a higher flow of water being pumped into the mouth, they can just simply, almost like when you're revving your car, you just put your foot down, and to reduce the flow of water being pumped into your ear, you then take your foot off the pedal, so to speak. So those ear irrigation machines do exist, but it all originally stemmed from the device that is used by dentists and dental hygienists to flush out, to pump water and clean out your oral cavity. There are variations now, so you can get ear irrigation pumps where you can control the flow by pressing digitally a setting, or by almost like a trigger. So you put your finger on a trigger, and the more you pull your finger towards you increase the flow, and the more you let go of your finger, it reduces the flow. So there's many different ways of controlling the flow of water. So ear irrigation is regarded as being a lot safer than ear syringing, because there is some control of the flow of water. You're not always having to pump water at extremely high pressure, which can then possibly perforate the eardrum, and that's one of the reasons why metal ear syringe in the UK are no longer allowed to be used. So ear irrigation, some of the risks, the same risks as the procedure I'm performing right now with microsuction and ear hooks and scoops and forceps, but with ear irrigation you're more likely to develop these potential risks and side effects. So they include temporary, or in the worst case scenario, permanent hearing loss, tinnitus, which is typically described as a ringing or buzzing noise in your ears, but it can actually be any type of sound that originates from either inside your ears or your head. Vertigo, especially if you have the temperature wrong. If you have the temperature of the water too hot, it can excite the balance organ in the ear that you're performing the procedure in. So that ear sends incorrectly more messages to the brain than it should do, and it tricks your brain into thinking that you're moving but you're not. So then you experience vertigo, nausea, even sickness. And conversely, if the water's too cold, so when you've got cold water in the ear, it inhibits the organ of balance. So the organ of balance is sending less signals to the brain than it should, and it has a similar effect. It tricks your brain to thinking you're moving in the opposite direction, and you can experience vertigo. So vertigo is not a condition, it's a symptom. It's a sensation of the room spinning around you, or you spinning around the room, and sometimes it can be accompanied by sickness or nausea. So you're more likely to develop, we call it the caloric effect, you're more likely to experience vertigo with ear syringing or irrigation than you are with suction. Now, you still can experience it with suction. When you perform suction, it's when it's sucking air